one of the guys I'm looking at is Bubba Wallace. You think about what Bubba's done. He's got the last 3 weeks. He's got a 15th, 13th, 4th, and he's also got a couple of 5ths in the first 2 races of the year. That 13th at Richmond could have been a top 5.
Yeah, karma.
If he doesn't bring out the caution there. And another guy that's also, I think, might be coming of age, and we've talked about him a lot more earlier in the year, but he hasn't finished outside the top 20 yet this year, and that's Ty Gibbs. He's got 8 top 20 finishes, and 4 of those are top 10, or 5 of those are top 10 finishes. These are 2 guys that I think we're waiting to see just kind of bust out that really are starting to come onto their own.
Yeah, and first stretch there, I thought it was, and it's still only a matter of time, but I thought Ty was really knocking on the door of that first win during that stretch when he was finishing top 5 week in and week out. And I think the biggest thing for me, at least, about Ty is, other than the LA Coliseum, right, you don't hear anything about him rubbing anybody the wrong way, getting into it with any of the other drivers. He's matured a whole lot in a short amount of time, and he's just quietly going about his business, running well, being in contention, and continuing to learn and grow. And you forget how young he is, man. He's so young. He's still got the baby face, so you can tell. But, the good thing about him is he's quietly going about his business, putting himself in contention. This should be a year where he's making the postseason and can probably advance around. And he's a guy that, to your point, it's impressive how much he's kind of risen right now. And then with the Bubba Wallace, I think you look at his numbers, you look at the fact of what he did this past weekend at Martinsville, his best ever finish there. The fact that, once again, he's also in contention. It feels like week in and week out, more so than it was just super speedways. He's getting his program together on road courses. He's learning from the other guys with him, whether it's Reddick or still talking to Kurt Busch or even getting info from Denny Hamlin on how to be better at all these different tracks. And also, there's been a couple different weekends when you're looking at it and you're like, oh, he's outrunning, Tyler Reddick in a lot of these races. That was the opposite case a year ago when you look at it and Tyler comes on as the new guy. And it's like, wow, Tyler came in and he's kicking Bubba's butt a little bit in the same equipment. And now you can tell Bubba went back and did his homework. And I think one of the biggest things that stands out to me is preseason with Bubba, where he talked about the fact that he wanted to go back to when he was having fun, back in the truck series when he didn't let any of the outside noise get to him. He just went out there, raced for wins, enjoyed himself each and every week, and didn't get into all the other stuff that comes with being a professional driver. And, I haven't spoken to him about that since the preseason, but I think everything he said seems to be what you're seeing out there on the track. He's not letting the other stuff get to him at that point, and I think that's key for the 23 team.
Yeah, and I think part of the maturation we're seeing of Bubba Wallace, Davey, is the fact that, for a long time, you knew he was money on the super speedways. He wasn't that good on the road courses, but he's gotten better on the road courses. And now to go to Martinsville, a track he used to be horrible at, and he was contending. He was there, and he ends up with a top 5 finish.
For sure. And we're going to a track this weekend in Texas Motor Speedway where he led a lot of the race last year in the playoffs, probably should have and could have won the race, but unfortunately the last restart just didn't go his way. And I think that he's been more of a team player since 2311, not just expanded to 2 full-time cars, but to Josh's point, kind of got his butt kicked a little bit by Tyler Reddick last year. One of the first things he said when he climbed out of the car this past weekend in Martinsville, I overheard him looking at Booty Barker and J.R. Houston, his engineer. He said, "Where'd we end up?" As in we at 2311 Racing. He knew that they finished top 5, but he wanted to know where Tyler finished because 2311's short track program, even though JGR's has been stellar, that's left a little bit to be desired. So the fact that he's leading the team a little bit more and he's leading by example, but also the performance is following too. I mean, there was a stretch last year, I think it was in the summer, overlap with the All-Star race where he finished 3rd, 4th, or 2nd, I think for 4 straight weeks. And Bubba seems to be getting a little bit more confident in himself, the team. To Josh's point, he's having fun again, which is a big, big deal. And on Ty Gibbs, I mean, the guy is just so good. He's stellar, kind of like Byron and Bell. He is a literal baby-faced assassin out there. And I think it's just a matter of time before he wins. And we hear all the time. I remember when Chase Elliott won his first race at the Glen a handful of years ago. Oh, well, the door's broken down. The winds are going to come fast and furious now. I think that'll be the case with Ty Gibbs too. I don't know what it is. It just has to be something about getting over that hurdle of getting your first win. Ty is right on the cusp, man. We've seen it every single week. He's fast in qualifying, and we know how important track position is in this generation of stock car racing in the cup level. And he's so good in the race too. Chris Gale, he's calling great races. Ty's not making mistakes behind the wheel. And again, to Byron's point, being with Hendrick, Ty's with Gibbs, and he probably will be for the rest of his life, given who his grandfather is. He's not going anywhere either. And I think this year, you're going to probably see multiple wins out of Ty Gibbs and advance probably multiple rounds in the playoffs. That boy is built different. And I think that we're going to see it soon.